She entered the crystal-walled meeting room at Nexus Tech. The atmosphere froze instantly as she crossed the threshold. No luxury handbag, no stilettos, no expensive timepiece, just a modest woman in worn flats, a simple ponytail, and a plain folder clutched protectively against her chest. The HR director raised an eyebrow and whispered just loud enough to wound. "She looks like she raided a donation bin for that outfit." A polished man in pinstripes, another candidate, chimed in without hesitation. "Are we interviewing applicants or running a charity drive?" Laughter cascaded through the space. The panel barely glanced at her credentials, eyes scanning dismissively, as though she were a clerical error someone had forgotten to correct. But Sofia Rivera stood unwavering, expression composed, folder in hand. They were oblivious to the truth. They had no idea that the man who had built this empire from nothing was her husband. Nexus Tech's Manhattan headquarters towered like a colossus 60 stories of gleaming metal and glass, a digital kingdom that shaped the world to its whims. The 30th floor interview chamber exuded power, an expansive walnut table, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the skyline, screens humming with analytics. Sophia stepped in, 32 years old, her chocolate hair loose in that unpretentious ponytail, her amber eyes bright yet gentle. She possessed a natural beauty, grace etched into every feature, but her thrift store ensemble and scuffed flats marked her as an outsider here. Beneath that unassuming exterior lived a mind that could dismantle coding problems like tissue paper and a spirit unyielding as steel. She had battled through multiple interview rounds for this leadership position, her evenings devoted to perfecting systems that would propel Nexus Tech forward. But they couldn't perceive that. They saw only an insignificant nobody in bargain clothes. The panel sat in judgment, 5 of them, attire impeccable, expressions colder than the glass surrounding them. Rebecca Stevens, HR director, presided at the head, her crimson blazer a caution sign, her platinum bob severe. Andrew Morgan, senior executive, reclined beside her, his designer watch glinting as he twirled a pen between manicured fingers. Jordan Hamilton, 29, heir to a corporate dynasty, smirked in tailored wool that proclaimed wealth, his silk tie a symbolic noose. Sarah Zhang, data strategist, observed through fashionable frames, her lips compressed to a thin line. David Roberts, operations head, lounged with arms folded, his military-style haircut catching the overhead lights. Hundreds had submitted applications. Now it came down to Sophia versus Jordan, but their expressions declared the contest concluded before it had begun. Sophia offered Rebecca her resume, plain white stock, no embellishments, just her name and a series of quiet accomplishments. Rebecca accepted it with a smirk, passing it to Andrew without examination. He flicked it back, scoffing, "There's no need." The pages skidded across the table, landing askew before Sophia. No applicable experience, mediocre education, wrong specialization. "So explain to us exactly why you believe you belong at this company." His tone acidic, as though she'd trespassed on hallowed ground. Sophia straightened, voice level. "I've invested 8 years developing scalable systems. My previous startup tripled its revenue using my framework. I'm here because I can resolve challenges Nexus Tech hasn't yet identified." Jordan interrupted with a laugh. "Scalable systems? What, like a cupcake shop app? This isn't a pity hire." Rebecca smirked. "She's delusional. Probably thinks a spreadsheet qualifies as cutting-edge tech." Sarah leaned forward. "What's your degree? Psychology?" "This is Nexus Tech, not a support group." Sophia nodded patiently. "It's computer science with concentration in AI ethics." "I've published." David cut her off. "Published? We don't need homework assignments. We need tangible results. You're drowning here." She attempted again. "My most recent project reduced processing times by..." Jordan steamrolled over her words. "Save the fairy tales, sweetheart. Nobody's buying it." Rebecca escalated the situation. She grabbed a marker from the table and scrawled "loser" across Sophia's resume, the dark ink bleeding through as she sneered. "That's your new title." Jordan hooted, "Sign it, frame it," while Andrew applauded. "She's a masterpiece of failure." The panel erupted in laughter. phones emerging to capture the defaced document. And Sophia stood there, ink smearing beneath her fingertips as she held it, her flats rooted to the spot. But she didn't break, just let the cruel word hang there, her composure a shield against their venom. The hostility intensified rapidly. Rebecca tapped her pen. "You're consuming our oxygen. Did you borrow that skirt from a donation bin?" Andrew chuckled. "She looks dressed for a yard sale. Where's the bargaining table?" Jordan reclined. "Never seen an executive boardroom before, have you? Maybe on a sitcom." Their laughter ricocheted off the walls sharp, merciless, a pack closing in. Sophia maintained her dignity. "I'm here to discuss qualifications, not clothing." Rebecca rolled her eyes. "Qualifications? Honey, you don't possess any weed value." Sarah smirked. "Try retail. Suits your vibe." David grinned. "Yeah, stick to entry level. This is the major leagues, not a community outreach program." Sarah intensified the attack. She snatched a stapler and fired it at Sophia's papers, the metal teeth puncturing holes as she hissed. "Let's shred the fantasy." David laughed. Swiss cheese resume, while Rebecca smirked. "Matches her intellectual gaps." The pages tore, staples scattering across the table, and Sophia bent to collect them, her hands steady despite the assault. But Sarah kicked them off the edge. "Trash belongs on the floor." Sophia's silence formed a barrier they couldn't penetrate. They continued their assault. Andrew stood. "Let's spice things up. A surprise assessment. Logic and coding, right now. No computer. Pen and paper only. Prove you're not an imposter." He thrust a thick packet toward her, 10 pages of problems twisted like knots, the kind that would defeat most programmers. Sophia accepted it, hands unwavering. "Fine," she replied, bending over the test, pen dancing across the page, equations, loops, proofs flowing as if they were second nature to her. 5 minutes passed. Jordan yawned dramatically. Rebecca scrolled through her phone. Sarah muttered, "She's scribbling gibberish." Sophia slid the completed test back. "Done." Andrew seized it, glanced at one corner, then deliberately tore it in half. The sound of ripping paper screamed in the silence as he tossed it into the trash. "Barely adequate. You're not even close. Complete waste." Jordan took it further. He grabbed a water pitcher from the table and emptied it over Sophia's head, the frigid deluge soaking her blouse and skirt as he jeered. "Cool off, dreamer." Andrew cackled. "She's a dripping mess now," while Sarah snapped a photo, social media gold. Water trickled down Sophia's face, pooling at her flats, and she blinked through the chill, her ponytail plastered to her neck. But she didn't flinch, just stood there. Her fortitude burned like a flame they couldn't extinguish. Rebecca grabbed her phone. "Security now? Intruder alert." Jordan laughed. "Escort her out. She's contaminating the room." David smirked. "Don't trip, princess." 2 security guards burst in imposing black polos, badges gleaming. One seized her arm. The other yanked away her folder. David escalated further. He snatched Sophia's folder from her grasp and shredded it to pieces, the fragments fluttering like confetti as he barked. "No place for frauds here." Rebecca cheered. "Destroy her ambitions," while Jordan hurled a pen at her. "Write your sob story elsewhere." The torn pieces hit the floor, her work in tatters, and Sophia knelt to retrieve them, her fingers steady. But David ground them into the carpet with his heel. "Stay down, nobody." Her composure remained solid as granite. "Move." The first guard growled, dragging her toward the exit. Sophia didn't resist, just walked with silent dignity, face composed as Jordan shouted, "Mailroom's hiring." The door slammed shut, their mockery seeping through the barrier, and the elevator swallowed her humiliated, but her spine remained straight. Andrew completed the degradation. He appended a waste bin over Sophia as the guards pulled her away. Coffee grounds and crumpled paper rained down as he sneered. "Here's where you belong." Sarah laughed. "Garbage Girls Ensemble is complete," while Rebecca applauded. "Perfect exit for a fake." The debris clung to her damp blouse, ground sticking to her hair, and Sophia shook it off, her flats slipping slightly. But she didn't crack, just walked, her amber eyes hard. Their cruelty a tempest she faced unflinchingly. The torment persisted. Rebecca had leaned close as Sophia passed, hissing, "You're a joke." Go back to flipping burgers. Andrew flicked a paperclip at her. Here's your bonus. Spend it wisely. It bounced off her shoulder, clattering to the floor. Jordan stood. Wait, let's give her a proper send-off. He grabbed a coffee cup from the table, half full and cold, and splashed it across her blouse, the brown stain spreading rapidly. There's your Nexus Tech welcome, he jeered as Sarah applauded. Perfect. She's branded now. Sophia wiped her cheek, coffee dripping, but didn't falter. She simply continued walking, the guards pulling harder. The lobby struck her like a physical blow. Marble gleaming, employees bustling, oblivious to the woman in stained gray being forcibly removed. The guards showed no mercy. One shoved her shoulder. Keep moving. The other tossed her folder into a bin near the exit. Don't return, he ordered as the glass door swung wide. Sophia stepped into the sunlight. Coffee soaking her shirt, resume destroyed, but her amber eyes remained clear. She had endured worse than this. Years of struggling, proving herself in environments that resented her presence. This wasn't about personal pride. It was about every soul they had crushed before her. She pulled out her phone and dialed. Marcus? It's me. It went badly. His voice tightened. How badly? She told him calmly, without tears. The coffee, the test, the guards. I'm coming, he said. Now. The following morning broke with a tempest of its own. Nexus Tech's executive floor buzzed with tension. An emergency meeting. No warning, no mercy. Senior executives poured into the boardroom, 30 of them. Suits pressed, expressions anxious, shareholders lurking in the background, a live feed broadcasting to investors worldwide. The atmosphere was charged like a battlefield before the first shot. The mahogany table stretched endlessly, screens glowing, the city sprawling below. Rebecca sat prominently, blazer immaculate. Andrew twirled his pen nervously. Jordan lounged with false confidence. Sarah adjusted her glasses repeatedly. David checked his watch obsessively. They assumed it was a standard power play promotions, bonuses, their moment to shine. Then the doors burst open, and reality shifted on its axis. Marcus Rivera strode in tall, 43, dark hair silver at the temples, black suit sharp as a razor, blue eyes cold as winter. The reclusive founder of Nexus Tech, a billionaire who had risen from poverty. Son of immigrants, coding on borrowed laptops, transforming scraps into an empire that dominated the digital landscape. Feared in boardrooms from New York to Tokyo, he'd been a phantom for months, directing operations from the shadows. Everyone rose instantly, chairs scraping, breaths held. Beside him walked Sophia. Same stained blouse, same skirt, flats tapping softly, ponytail swaying, her amber eyes unwavering. Faces drained of color. Rebecca's pen cracked in her grip. Andrew's clattered to the floor. Jordan seemed to shrink in his expensive suit. Sarah's glasses fogged with sudden perspiration. David choked audibly. Marcus halted, voice deadly calm. Sit. They collapsed like marionettes with cut strings. He surveyed them slowly. I entrusted this team with one responsibility. Evaluate candidates for leadership positions so I could identify who deserves advancement. But yesterday, you didn't interview a candidate. He paused, the silence cutting like a blade, then turned to Sophia. You insulted my wife. Gasps punctured the air. Rebecca's hand trembled uncontrollably. Andrew's jaw dropped. Jordan's chair creaked as he shrank further into it. Marcus stepped closer. Sophia and I built Nexus Tech from nothing. Two struggling kids with dreams. No sleep, no capital. I engineered the hardware. She crafted the AI. Every system generating your bonuses originated in her mind. You didn't just overlook a resume. You humiliated the woman I cherish most. He pointed at Rebecca, Andrew, Jordan, Sarah, David. Repeat your statements from yesterday. Now, to the board. The room froze. Rebecca stammered. I didn't. Marcus cut her off. No evasion. Speak. A technician activated the screen. Security footage, raw and unfiltered. Rebecca's contemptuous hiss. She looks like a student applying for a part-time job. Jordan's cruel laugh. Janitorial services? Where's the mop? Andrew's sneer. No experience. Wrong major. Sarah's barb. Try retail. David's quip. Out of her depth. Andrew again, dressed for a yard sale. Jordan's finale. Mailrooms hiring. The boardroom petrified. Shareholders shifted uncomfortably. Investors glared through the video feed. Their words hung like executioner's ropes. Rebecca's red blazer now resembled a burial shroud. Her marker had fashioned a noose. She'd defaced the woman whose code powered their empire, and her hands quaked as she faced the board. Her smug whisper replayed for millions. Her career lay in smoking ruins. Andrew's designer watch dangled uselessly, his coffee splash an iron chain. He'd drenched the intellect behind their profits, and the trash he dumped buried him alive. His name blacklisted forever. Jordan's pinstriped suit hung limp and defeated, his water assault a permanent scar. He'd soaked the soul of Nexus Tech, and his dynasty's doors slammed shut against him, his laughter a ghost as investors condemned him. The screen burned their shame into permanent record. Every sneer, every jab nails in their professional coffins. Sophia's quiet dignity their executioner. Marcus remained impassive. You tore her test solved flawlessly, faster than you could dream. You threw coffee. You summoned security. Say it again. Rebecca's lips quivered. I can't. Jordan stared at his shoes, mute. Andrew rasped. Mistake. Sarah whispered. We didn't know. David croaked. Sorry. Marcus leaned forward. Sorry means nothing. You've shown me who you truly are. Small. Cruel. Blind. Nexus Tech doesn't tolerate trash. He nodded to security, the same guards, same polos. Remove them. They're terminated. The room held its collective breath as the guards advanced. Rebecca's blazer dragged along the floor. Andrew's watch dangled pathetically. Jordan's tie flopped against his chest. Sarah's glasses slipped down her nose. David's buzz cut bowed in defeat. The aftermath resembled a wildfire. Rebecca, Andrew, Jordan, Sarah, David fired instantly, badges confiscated, escorted out as the board watched in stunned silence. Shareholders nodding grimly, investors typing furious notes. Sarah's fashionable frames couldn't conceal her downfall, her stapler awaiting retribution. She'd shredded the work of Nexus Tech as architect, and now her resume was the discarded refuse. Her smug photos became a toxic curse as the industry expelled her. David's military cut bowed low, his folder tearing against his will. He'd destroyed the woman who had built their world, and his stomping footprint echoed as he hit rock bottom, begging alongside Andrew while Sophia's coin glinted accusingly in his palm. The boardroom's silence thundered with their ruination. Every laugh, every insult a boomerang that shattered them. Marcus's controlled fury and Sophia's steadfast gaze the gavel dropping, their own words the rope that hanged them. Nexus Tech blacklisted them all, names scorched across the industry. No firm would consider them, resumes shredded on site. Calls blocked, social media profiles abandoned. Rebecca's blazer donated to charity. Andrew's watch pawned for rent money. Jordan's inheritance couldn't save him. Sarah's glasses sold for groceries. David's arrogance crumbled to ashes. Their titles, reputations, livelihoods erased in a heartbeat. All for sneering at a woman they failed to recognize. 6 months later, rain lashed a downtown subway station. Commuters rushing past, umbrellas snapping open and closed. Andrew Morgan slumped against the wall. Once a Nexus Tech executive, now unshaven, coat torn, a cardboard sign shaking in his hands. Please help. His luxury watch long gone, his sneer a distant memory, his fingers trembling in the damp chill. Heels clicked against wet concrete. Sophia approached, hair still in that signature ponytail, now wearing an elegant navy coat. Her presence a quiet force of nature. She had just delivered the keynote at an AI ethics summit, her voice shaping the future while his crumbled into dust. She paused, reached into her pocket, extracted a single quarter shiny, cold, and dropped it into his palm. It caught the light momentarily. The man who had torn her brilliance to pieces now clutching her coin like salvation. She met his eyes, a subtle smile flickering across her lips, then continued on her way, flats tapping steadily, her strength a silent thunder rolling through the station. That quarter wasn't mercy. It was justice cold and precise. Sophia didn't need to scream or gloat. She let their own corruption bury them completely. She had forged Nexus Tech's heart, and they had spat upon it until Marcus reduced their world to cinders. Now she stood taller than ever while they sank into obscurity, a lesson carved permanently into their downfall. If you've ever been judged by appearances rather than substance, remember, sometimes the simple woman in worn flats holds the keys to the kingdom, and those who mock her might one day beg for her spare change.